What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. This is kind of a part two. That last video was about 18 minutes long, so I had to cut it. Most people don't want to watch a video it's 18 minutes long, some guy ranting on and on about his truck. So anyways, here's the deal I'm having. A couple videos back I was talking about how I was having this failure here with my shock, and I bought it this way. I took it home, and I remember seeing this and thinking, oh well, I got a failed shock, no big deal. Well, I finally got around to replacing it, and that was an odyssey because the bolts, I don't have this piece of hardware for that because it's gone. The bolts that held this one on had been in for so long, they basically had become rust welded into the lower control arm assembly. And when I put just a socket on, after coating it with penetrating oil, when I tried to back the bolt out, I got about a turn and a half out of the bolt before the top of the bolt busted off. And I had to weld a washer onto that little stump, then weld a nut to that washer, and then apply a bunch of heat and swear at it a couple times, and I finally was able to get it out. And then the top, I basically had to take a angle grinder and cut them off because my dumbass self, I busted the tip off and I couldn't get the nut to back off of there, so essentially I had to take my Dremel tool cut off wheel and cut that thing apart to get this shock off. And it's not a fun experience, but anyways, the reason this whole ordeal happened was because this shock is too short, and which is weird because when I went to the auto parts store and explained what was going on, the shock the guy gave me was this exact same length. And I was driving, and not even a week later, I heard this thunk, and I was, what the hell was that? Pulled over, and I'll be damned, the brand new shock I had looked just like this. I mean, the exact same failure. Now, the reason this happened is because this shock is too short, and the suspension's travel was being stopped by the bottom of the shock here. Well, this is just kind of tack welded together. When this thing forms a circle, it's just got a little tiny weld right here. It's not designed to stop the suspension's travel. So what was happening as the truck was going down the road and the suspension was traveling, the only thing that was keeping it from going any further was the bottom of the shock, and eventually it failed and tore off the bottom of the shock, forming this nice little fishhook shape. The problem is when I go into the auto parts store and I say I got a 91 D250 Ram, the Monroe shock that I got, this is the right length according to the auto parts store. And what I really need is a shock that has about an eyelet's worth, it's about 1.5 inches more length, more travel. Otherwise, what's going to happen is I put another shock in, and it's boom, it's going to do the exact same thing. And this truck is not leveled, it is not lifted, it is stock in every way, shape, manner, and form. I'm stumped. Now, my buddy at the auto parts store is researching what can be done on this, what shock I can get that's not a much more expensive shock that will have this travel that will work in this truck. And this shock, according to him, or this style, was the same from 1997 until 1977, excuse me, until 95. They were for a 3/4 ton truck in the Dodge. So if anybody out there had experienced this kind of problem, please throw a comment in the section below. I'd be more than happy to figure out what to do here without having to level the truck and then buying a shock for a lifted or leveled truck, because that is not what I want to do with this. So, like I said, if you guys have ever dealt with that before on a first-gen Cummins 2-wheel drive, throw that in the comment section below. I'd be very interested to find out what your solution was. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.